A warm welcome, everyone, to week 7 of the Self Awareness Journey series. So, before I begin today's session, let me ask you something. You can place the answer in the chat. Is there a goal or habit that you're struggling to stick by? You can just answer it in the chat if you're comfortable sharing. And if you're okay turning on your cameras, that would be great too. So over the past 6 weeks, 6 sessions, we've explored about what really is self-awareness and why is it so important? Why is it the fundamental essence of any change, be it spiritual or personal growth related? Okay, thank you. Great answers. So please keep sharing. I will address that in a bit. So after learning all these different concepts around self-awareness and why it's important, how meditation helps with self-awareness, today we will get into the actual interesting part. So imagine someone who reads every book on swimming but never jumps into the water, or someone who watches countless fitness videos but never moves their body. So knowledge without action is like owning a map, but you're never taking the journey. So self-awareness, even though it is the first step for anything, any growth, any change, any transformation, without practicing self-awareness in our everyday, it's extremely difficult to see that change in ourselves. So if you've been practicing meditation for many years, and meditation may have transformed you in a number of ways, but for some of us, some things that we want to change still linger around. That is because we are not practicing self-awareness on a day-to-day basis. The ability to put that all that knowledge and wisdom that we gain either through these sessions or through our own insights or through the books we read, without putting them into action, the real learning does not happen. So today we are going to see why we are unable to do that and also how we can do that. So that's the reason why I asked you some of the habits that you're trying to learn, but you're finding it difficult to stick to. Many of us have, I have many as well, which I'm still working on. So we have answers like anger management. Yes, okay. Being aware. Okay. Staying positive in all situations. Yes, that is a difficult one. Journaling. Okay. Great answers. So we'll address these. Getting up early every day. Okay. Then waking up early. Trying to listen more. Yes. Slowing down. Yes. Great answers. And I definitely think self-awareness and a little bit of this session can add to what you already know and maybe motivate you to look at it from a different lens. Okay. So as I said, there is a gap between knowing and doing. So as much as we want to gain wisdom, we want to understand the different aspects of our of all these concepts. Real knowledge comes from experience. So no matter how many books you read on mindfulness, real mindfulness, the experience of being mindful comes only with practice, with moment to moment awareness. Not just being mindful during meditation, but translating into moment to moment awareness on a day-to-day basis. So today we'll focus on how to translate self-awareness into action and some practical ways to rewire the habits that we want to implement and our mindset, and some spiritual and scientific perspectives on living consciously every single day. So because without action, there is no transformation and it still remains a dream, distant dream. So now let us see how small daily shifts, very little small daily shifts can lead to massive transformation. And some of the examples I can share from my own life that I've noticed, especially with self-awareness. So a little background about myself. I am not a very disciplined person, something that I always struggled with, to stick to something for a like a habit, like a second nature. So I always had this belief that discipline doesn't come easily to me. And with that belief, I try to approach any habit or anything that I wanted to improve in my life. So after I began my self-awareness journey and the mindfulness journey, I understood that discipline was not the problem. Consistency is not the problem. It's my belief, the underlying belief that discipline does not work for me, or that I am being consistent is hard. I keep using this phrase, consistency is my problem. Consistency is my problem. Almost all of my friends have heard that from me, because that is what I struggle with, is what I used to tell them. But over the years, as I kept practicing and observing my patterns, my thoughts, my beliefs, I came to the realization that consistency is not the problem, but the way I'm trying to implement that habit, the way I'm trying to approach a habit or a change that I want to bring into my life was the problem. So self-awareness gives you that wisdom. Just because you read that meditating every day at so and so time for so many minutes is beneficial, it may not work exactly the way that it is said to be working for you. So you have to excuse me, exper experiment a little bit. Yes. So the moment you begin, you shift your approach to a habit or to some change that you want to bring into your life, by not being too rigid on the way it is supposed to be done, but trying to be experimental with the wisdom that you gained about yourself. That is the real game changer that I observed in my own experience. So that comes only with self-awareness, like observing what you enjoy, what triggers you more, at what time of the day is more effective, little things, very minor things, and attaching that habit to that part of the day. Things like these. There is no norm, but we all, again, that ego comes into play, and there is a conditioned belief that certain things need to be a certain way only, but it has to fit into your own patterns and your own awareness. Then you will see that you're able to stick to your habits better. So why do we struggle to stick to our goals, whether it's weight loss, meditation, or just creating a better life? It's not that we lack motivation. We all have motivation. We all want to do better, get better. We want to improve on our lifestyle on a day-to-day basis. But when we solely depend on motivation, or when we think that we are not disciplined, some people say that if you depend on motivation, you cannot stick to a habit. You need to be consistent. You have to build that discipline muscle. That is right. But sometimes when we're not able to be consistent for a few days, most of us give up. We think that's it. I'm not a disciplined person. It doesn't work. It's not working for me. And we give up. So the whole point of why we began, we just let it go without even trying. So it's not merely lack of motivation. It's because we don't examine the subconscious patterns that are running the show. And this entire series was that the reason for that. It is to understand. First thing is to understand. To understand, you have to become aware. We need to throw that torchlight first in the darkness to see that something is there. That is self-awareness. And then we'll try to improve those patterns and then work around the habits from a different lens, from a new perspective. So now that we've understood and explored about self-awareness, now let's take it a notch further. So there is this famous book, I think most of you might have read it by now, called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a beautiful book. It has scientific research and it's also spiritual in a way. So the author in that book mentions that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. He emphasizes the value of having a system than a rigid goal and a rigid pathway to that system. And he says to that goal. So he says having systems is important, and having a system that works for the individual is important. Just because everybody is asked to do certain things a certain way doesn't mean there is no hard and fast rule that it has to work for you that way. So for me, I'm a very spontaneous person. So for me, rigidity is something that that repels me a bit. So that is an understanding I got. So when I attach my habit that I want to develop to something, like I try to make it a little more spontaneous, little more aligned with my personality, I'm able to stick to that better. For instance, for fitness, if you ask me to go to gym every single day, do the same exercises, focus on this, that, or on the legs, on the arms, like that, and go to the gym every single day, I am not able to stick to that. That is the awareness I developed. I'm not able to stick to my exercise regime if I go to gym every day. Given the type of person I am, I understood that I have to switch things up every single day, or at least once in 2 to 3 days. So I do uh, physical exercises twice a week. I do yoga. I prefer yoga. So I do that thrice a week. And once I go for dancing. This is working brilliantly for me. So this came after lot of trial and error, experimenting with my own patterns, with my own awareness. I understood that I enjoy movement, conscious movement, more than rigid exercises of repetitions. So I prefer yoga, and yoga has been working out better for me than going to the gym. For someone else, gym might work better. Maybe they are more of their personality is more aligned to the performing exercises at the gym. Maybe they like the motivation of having many people at the gym, and that inspires them. So whatever works for you, you can do it. And to lose weight or to get fit and to get toned, there are so many ways. Some people go to kickboxing. They like to switch things up. So dancing is also a great way. I get more steps and more workout done when I'm going to a dance class. So all these, I didn't even know that that could happen. I was just thinking I might enjoy the movement, the conscious, mindful movement that we learned during a dance class. But along with that, there was a lot of good exercise that I was getting. So try to experiment, try to switch things up, understand yourself, where you're operating, the kind of person you are, and what works well, and try to align your habits that you develop from the wisdom that you developed through practicing self-awareness. So if you want to lose weight or meditate daily or transform your life, self-awareness is the key that we've been seeing throughout the series. So it helps you break those limiting patterns because it gets you to the root cause, the subconscious patterns, the beliefs that were there. Um, and if you want to create a sustainable, long lasting change, this is where it starts. So if you want to start lose weight, and if you're going to some trainer and just getting into a diet that is totally not relevant to you, suppose you're not someone who is used to salads, who are not enjoying salads, and your trainer puts you on salads, it might be extremely difficult. You may, with that motivation to lose weight, you may continue maybe at the max for a few weeks or a few months, but after that your lifestyle does not change. You'll be back. You'll be back to your old ways. Why? Because the root cause is not fixed. The root cause uh, of your ability to lose weight and the practices that will make you stick to those habits has not been encountered. You have not dealt with the limiting beliefs or the thought patterns that you have, underlying thought patterns that you have about your body or your physical appearance, or the reason, your why. Maybe your why is not strong. They always say your why needs to be strong for any goal. If I want to wake up early, why do you want to wake up early? I always wanted to wake up early. I used to be a morning person as a student throughout my childhood. 4 a.m., 5 a.m., I used to wake up. But after I moved to the US, all those habits vanished, and I'm struggling to get back to that early morning person. So, what I did was just waking up just to become an early morning person was not working for me. It was not giving me that enough motivation to wake up. So, once I became a mother, I was looking for ways to make my time for drawing, commit my time for creativity. Because I was handling a baby or my child, my day was packed with work and being a mother. So I was hardly finding time to commit to my art practice. That was my trigger. So as I allocated a time slot early in the morning for my art practice and to create content for content creation of social media and all of that, I enjoyed it. So I was looking forward to wake up. My why became stronger. I was looking forward to wake up in the morning because that was giving me the me time that I was craving for, which I lacked earlier. Earlier, I just wanted to become a morning person, and that was not the right why for me. So, having something that you earn to wake up, that you crave, and attaching that with the habit that you want to improve is a great way, and that comes with self awareness. I all these are experiments that I did in my own life. So it's easy for me, even if I want to, if I commit to it, I can do it. So I don't again judge. We shouldn't get into that path of again judging ourselves that I'm unable to do, I'm not this, I'm not that, and assign labels. Not necessary. Just experiment and see. One day you'll be surprised that automatically your body clock also aligns with those timings, and you'll automatically be wake up. So any long-lasting change, it comes with dealing and handling the root cause or the underlying thought patterns. And the entire series was about that. Your thought patterns, your emotional triggers, becoming aware, and then working on rewiring them, understanding your childhood wounds, procrastination, and all the things that we struggle with habits are a childhood wounds from perfectionism. That's what it is, the root cause of procrastination. We prefer to avoid taking action because we are afraid of the result. That is the reason for procrastination. So slowly, if we start observing that thought pattern and try to push ourselves to take minimum action, even if you're not able to meditate for the time that you want to, sit, just putting a timer of 5 minutes and getting up and sitting and closing your eyes. You meditating, not meditating, getting thoughts, not getting thoughts is not the goal. Just you waking up, sitting for meditating for 5 minutes is the first action step that we can take. Any habit, any habit. If you want to wake up early and make it a habit, we can begin by waking up at least 20 minutes or half an hour before our usual bedtime. Slowly moving half an hour every week or every month. And then one day you'll be surprised, your body will be adjusted and you'll automatically wake up at the time that you need to. So many people jump into these fad diets and intense workout plans, but 80% people again regain the weight because they don't address their underlying relationship with food. As I said, most people have weight issues not because they overeat or they undereat, because they have an unhealthy relationship with food. Their eating habits are linked to the subconscious mind. It's the thought patterns. So imagine a woman who has tried every diet but keeps coming back to her regular eating patterns. So instead of blaming that I lack discipline and I'm unable to stick to my diet or my trainer's program, her real struggle is emotional eating. The woman eats when she's emotional, when food is comfort for most of us. So we, instead of jumping to another diet, if she practices self-awareness, she will pause before eating. She asks, is this really hunger, or am I acting out of my emotional trigger? Or am I acting out from that thought pattern? Understanding that emotional eating is the root cause of her weight gain, not because she lacks discipline or not because she's not a consistent person. All those are later, they come up. Once we fix the root cause, you'll see that it's just a cakewalk, consistency and discipline. So understanding the why is very important. Why you want to attain a goal, and what is the root cause that is stopping you from attaining that habit or the goal. So instead of jumping to every diet or try this diet is not working, let's move to another diet. Okay, people jump from keto to vegan to so many diets, so many names, to depending on your body type. All that also gives you awareness, but instead of that, always the root cause is in the mind and our thought patterns and our traumas, because our mental and physical well-being are very intertwined. So once she develops that awareness, every each time she eats, she can question herself, am I really hungry? Am I really eating for the sake of eating? Or is this triggering? Am I trying to escape something? Am I trying to soothe my stress? For us, many of us soothe ourselves with food. Even I did that. I used to do that. I still do it sometimes, but this time I'm very aware while doing it. I understand I'm doing this because of my stress. Again, you shouldn't judge yourself that, okay, sometimes it happens and that's okay. We don't have to label and again form a new pathway in our brain that I'm so and so person. So becoming very intentional, becoming very conscious of every item that we take while eating is part of intentional and mindful living, mindful eating, what we put into our body. All that we automatically improve with self-awareness. So as you've been seeing me talk about my journey throughout this series, that I was body shamed for being too thin, and that was a part of my subconscious. So along with that, I developed unhealthy eating habits. Anyway, because I'm thin, I started eating anything and everything as I'm not putting on weight, because that was my body type. But it definitely shows up at one point, all that unhealthy eating habits that we've developed. So as much as I had mental and emotional awareness, I lacked my physical health awareness, like the food that I'm taking, the kind of times that I'm eating. They were very off, the lifestyle. So once I started practicing self-awareness with my mind and emotions, automatically translated to the food habits as well. So I started maintaining a notepad, and each time I felt like having some food for the sake of having, not because it was necessary to eat, but just out of stress or just to soothe myself, I used to write down. I used to write down the time and date. And after a week, I used to review how many times in that week I had those cravings or that trigger. So next week, I had a small goal for myself to reduce that number, to not fully vanish. If one week I had 6 times, next time I wanted to cut it down to 3, like a challenge to myself. And then I used to have a reward. The same system that is mentioned in the Atomic Habits book. You reward yourself with something. Rather than cutting out fully out of your system, you have a reward once in a while. So whatever I'm craving for, I used to write down, and I used to keep reducing that number. And once I reached that goal, I used to have a small reward. The funny part is when the reward comes, you don't feel like eating. That's the beauty of it. So really, when you crave it, it's okay to eat with awareness, but just eating mindlessly, all that we dump into our body, that's where the problem comes. Another great habit is to set up a 90-second pause before anything that we want to improve upon. Since we're talking about the eating, before you eat, pause for 90 seconds. Put a timer for 90 seconds. And notice why you're reaching out for that food. Are you really hungry? Then you can replace with some nuts or a fruit. Or is something bothering you? Then journal instead. Why are you reaching out for the cake? All these are self-awareness, little things that even as adults, we just take it for granted, little things. But they are the ones that shape our habits, our life and our transformation. So ask yourself, am I really hungry, or this is an emotional reaction? So even Bhagavad Gita teaches that moderation, sattva, always sattva in everything, eating in balance, not restriction. You can still have desserts, but in balance. In our Ayurveda and even in Indian systems, we are not allowed to cut down everything. We are allowed to eat everything in moderation. That's a healthy way, is what our scriptures also mention. So self-awareness transforms the weight loss from punishment to nourishment. We focus on once, as I said, I used to be a junk eater. Now I think before having junk, and it came naturally to me now. I was waiting for it to come naturally. I didn't want to force myself to cut down, just stop, have nothing. So I was able to do the no sugar challenge, 75-day challenge very easily. I was surprised that I could go for 60 days without sugar on a daily basis. Because whenever I had the craving, I had an intention to replace it with a fruit, and I tried to stick to it. Sometimes when I couldn't, I used to note down, write it down. No judgment. No judgment. That's the whole point. No judging yourself, that and not stopping yourself that okay, I lost it anyway. Why practice this habit? Consistency does not mean one day you lose, you're not consistent. It's not that definition. We all think that if we miss a day, we're not consistent. That's not the definition. We are trying to build a lifelong habit, a lifelong process, something that's solid and sustainable. It takes time and effort, and we have to be kind to ourselves in the process. So let's check with meditation. Now, most of us want to improve the time we dedicate to meditation or make it like a daily practice. Especially as a beginner, many people struggle to stick to the habit. Why? Because their ego attaches to the results. We attach the practice of meditation to seeking peace or to escape or to for enlightenment. No end goals. That is a problem. We don't have to put an end goal to anything that we are starting out. Imagine someone who's starting to meditate and they're sitting and they're frustrated that their mind is not stopping to wander. They're frustrated that they're getting so many thoughts. Just because they're sitting to meditate, they want their thoughts to automatically vanish. Do you think that's possible for a beginner? Of course not. We have to be kind to ourselves and trust the process. It's okay. It's okay. And they get frustrated that I'm failing at meditation. I tried meditating, but thoughts are, I can't stop my thoughts. So it's not working out for me. They label themselves that I'm failing at meditation, and they stop it altogether. They've not even tried it for 6 months at a stretch, and they give up. So when you have self-awareness, you'll practice that shift. You'll be able to shift your mindset from those dialogues. Whenever those dialogues come, immediately your mind will catch. You should be able to catch that is my ego talking, that is blaming, that is judging. Anything that labels or judges is the ego, good or bad. So instead of expecting stillness, or instead of expecting not having thoughts at all, instead of having that expectation to have certain experiences or have zero thoughts, observe that resistance. Observe the resistance that you're feeling. Observe whatever sensations you're feeling in the body. Observe the emotions that are coming up. Everything from an observant perspective. That is true meditation. The ability to witness, the ability to observe without judgment is the highest form of intelligence. Jiddu Krishnamurti says that. When Patriji says meditation, you're not meditating for some experience. Meditation is the basic practice that will make all the changes that you need in life. So even with the basic practice, we have expectations. That is the problem. So not as having expectations. And when you have that self-awareness, you will realize that the mind isn't the problem. The expectations are the problem. Thoughts will come because that's the work of mind. For someone who is not used to mindfulness and meditation, having constant thoughts it's just a natural state of mind. But as we practice meditation, as we practice observing, at one point we'll reach that stillness experience. And even if we don't reach, that's okay. The practice of observing is the main thing, because that will translate into self-awareness in your day-to-day life. So again, now the person, if he practices self-awareness, they will shift from results to ritual. Instead of having a strict rule that I have to meditate every day for 20 minutes, they will say, let me sit for 2 minutes with awareness. Shift your goals, shift your, as I said, play around, experiment. I will sit today for 2 minutes with awareness. I'll just observe whatever is going on in my mind. I'll just observe the sensations that I'm experiencing in my body. I'll just observe the thoughts that are coming without labeling them or judging myself. Label the thoughts, but not yourself. I'm having a judgmental thought. I'm having a critical thought. I'm having a procrastinating thought. That's it. I am not a procrastinator. I am not a judgmental person. I am having a procrastinating thought. So that practice of separating yourself from the thought, knowing that you both are different, that is what creates that gap between the authentic self and the ego. So practicing, the more we practice that muscle, the more it becomes your second nature in everything that we do. It translates to our physical world as well, like the eating habits that we were talking about. So if there is resistance, ask yourself, what am I avoiding here? Means you're attaching your worth to expectations again. That is an ego play. Even with meditation, if you're having expectations, that is ruling out the whole point of your spirituality. So track things, develop that wisdom about yourself, and not the results, not having any results. Even Bhagavad Gita, as we've been in the Gita, they say perform your duty without attachment to results. So meditation is about awareness, not achievement. Again, if you're going for having some rule book that I have to sit for so and so, I have to do it so and so, then it's again, we are trapped in that ego loop. So once we also keep attracting the right situations and people once we develop self-awareness, as I said, because we are able to shift our thought patterns. Whenever you have a negative thought, you become aware that, okay, my ego is talking, it's trying to keep me low. It's okay, just let it be. And don't go down the rabbit hole. Sit in meditation. Even if thoughts are coming, observe the thoughts. Let the thoughts come. Sometimes we are unable to observe the thoughts as well, but you'll realize that you were unable to observe the thoughts. You'll be able to witness that as well. So any kind of observation is still valid. So to become develop that kind of awareness is great, because it's different for different people, and there is no point of comparison. We cannot compare with a fellow meditator who started meditating around the same time but is able to meditate really well, because there are a lot of factors into play. It could it's part of the soul journey, right? So it all depends. So we are not here to again compare even meditation and experiences and all that. We are very very happy with our own journey. We are trying to improve our own uh, life. So understand your why. Any habit that you have. Now some of you have said, I want to practice waking up. Understand why you want to wake up. Because is it just because is it a good habit, or is there a strong why that you have waking up early? When we want to wake up early, the habit is not, it doesn't begin with waking up early. You have to fix your sleep schedule first. We have to sleep early first. And we have to move our day a little ahead. So once we fix our sleeping time, then we can wake up early. So first work on the sleeping time. So that's what self-awareness does. At your own pace, there is no hurry, no rules. At your own pace. Observe, observe, observe. Journal about it. So someone said, I want to practice journaling, right? Journaling as a consistent habit. So journal, ask yourself, do you have a strong why? Why do you want to journal? Journal is a great way to develop self-awareness. It's an essential part of self-awareness and mindfulness journey. So if you really want to journal, maybe that thought is there, but you're unable to sit with a pen and paper and journal. So just put maybe you can get something, if that is your problem, maybe you can get something that has prompts, a journal that has prompts that asks you questions that will invite you to answer, because you don't have to think what should I write about, what should I write about. But you can journal about the after your meditation, immediately after your meditation you can journal about the thoughts that came up during meditation, or how was your meditation experience that day. Were you able to be thoughtless? Did you experience stillness? Did you experience deep peace? Or was it agitated? Anything is fine. No right, wrong. We are just observing and documenting what we are going through. And Divya said anger management. So, anger, as we've seen, it's an ego pattern, right? So, the first thing that we need to practice for anger management is pausing. Pause. So, we need to develop the habit of pausing rather than habit of not getting angry, because that is the long goal, that is the distance goal. But what is the first step? First, pausing. So each time, once we practice, as you practice, you will notice that automatically you will be able to pause before reacting or saying something to the other person. So every morning you can set an intention. Today I am just going to observe. If somebody is triggering me, I should be able to pause for 15 seconds before replying to them. That is your intention for the day. You can set an intention and have that intention in your mind with every interaction, with everything that you say to your child, to your spouse, to anybody you're interacting through the day. Keep in mind that today I'm going to respond only after 15 seconds, especially when I'm triggered. And try to observe how many times you failed at it and how many times you cleared it. And note it down. That builds awareness. There is no ranking, there is no right, wrong. We are just trying to see how many times it is. If you started today in April and you keep practicing this every day for a few weeks, by the end of April, the number of times you reacting may come down at least by one. That is your pace. If you have too much trauma, it takes longer, and that's totally okay. That is my journey. That's our journey. There's no rat race here. And being mindful. Being mindful, yes, that's the whole point of why we are doing meditation and self-awareness. Self-awareness gives that mindfulness. So whenever our thoughts are wandering, and if you're able to observe that my thoughts are wandering rather than what I'm supposed to do in the moment, that itself is the greatest achievement, actually. So whenever you are able to do that, you can put just a line in your book, because as we practice, you can see how many lines how many lines in a page you are able to fill up through the day. That means how many moments you are being able to be aware in that moment. So you are thinking that I need to put a line itself is practicing being mindful. So little practices, little things which we think are lame are actually life-changing practices. And that the more we do it, we build that muscle of it becoming a second nature. So Mahi said, slowing down, right? So that is your goal. You want to slow down because you already have an awareness that you're doing too many things already. And that is it's overwhelming you. So you want to slow down. You've built that awareness already. So now you want to work on slowing down. So whenever you have an instance of committing to something beyond your capacity, and you're able to observe that commitment, or even if you by habit, if you are committed, you can, once you have self-awareness, you'll be able to go and communicate that you cannot do this. And if you're unable to do it, observe it and just write it down in your book. Journal about it. Today I was given this opportunity, and as a habit, out of habit, I committed to it. It's okay. But since you wrote it down, next time it will make you pause. So there is another thing, staying positive in all situations. This actually is not a realistic goal, honestly. Again, it's the ego trap. The whole point of embracing everything is not, it doesn't translate to staying positive in all situations. It's okay to not be positive. It's the whole point of meditation and mindfulness is we have to be okay with everything. Even negativity, if it comes and if we are unable to change it into positive, that's okay at times. We should be okay with that. But if you really want to work on it, every time you get a negative thought, you can have a list of affirmations ready that work for you. Again, certain affirmations work for certain people really well. Not everybody has the same set of affirmations that work. So you need to experiment. Print out a list of affirmations that you like, that you feel more connected to, and have stick it somewhere that you see often, maybe on the fridge door or at your office desk. And whenever you have a negative thought, your first step should be to go to that list, go to that affirmation, and replace that thought with an affirmation. For instance, if you're having a negative thought that maybe you're scrolling social media and you had a negative thought that I am lagging behind. Everybody is so moving so ahead in their lives. I'm lagging behind. So as soon as that thought comes, self-awareness will give you that ability to catch it, that, okay, this is my ego talking. And you'll immediately rush to that fridge door and replace it with an affirmation that fits the situation. Everything is working out. Everything is working out in my timeline. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. This is a great affirmation. You are not lagging behind or you're not running ahead. We are all exactly where we are supposed to be. Our soul is very at peace. The ego is what is creating all this. So there is no necessity to um, have all that expectations. Whenever you are at peace, you are in touch with your soul. When we are not at peace, it means ego is running the show. So we can get back to in touch with the soul with these affirmations or with any practices. For me, it's art, drawing. Whenever I draw, I just come back, or listening to music. Things that we feel are useless and don't have time for are exactly the things that we are supposed to do more when these thoughts come up. So that's it. I think I have more, but again, we're running out of time. So I hope I gave you a little insight on. Main insight is to experiment. Move your goals, your habits, and practices that fit into your own personality, that comes with the wisdom that you gain from self awareness. Just having an end goal is not enough. Why do you need to do that? Why do you have that end goal? Is what you need. Concentrate on the why, the process automatically becomes easier. Thank you.